what I'm really focusing on today is about how to network for professional development. This was a presentation that I delivered at the EARCOS Teachers Conference that was incredibly well received. And so we're delivering it today for EARCOS participants, and we'll be also recording so that we can share. So welcome to EARCOS's professional networking presentation. Our agenda for the day really is networking is an important part of professional growth. And I hope in the beginning that I can really instill that belief in you, and that when we move through today's content, you will have a very clear picture of the professional development goals that you want to get from attending the EARCOS Leadership Conference. And I also want to impress upon you that you need to take it upon yourself to really be proactive in the networking. And I'm going to be showing you tools that you can use, such as Whova, as well as introducing other tips and tricks for networking. But first, who is this guy in front of you? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Michael Iannini. I'm based in Hong Kong. I'm all about teams and collaboration. And this is my family that I like to collaborate and team with. And this was us back at the end of March doing Disney's 10K race. Now, I'd like to say we did the 10K race, but there was a 3K option. That's my wife, Barbara, my son, Marco, who's 6, and my daughter, Helena, who's 10. I'm not going to say my wife or my age, for kids, I think it's appropriate. But we did that together. We teamed together. Everybody worked hard together. We met great people along the way. We try to be very social individuals. And I'm very proud of my family for that. And I hope today that I help get you across the finish line to accomplish your goals for the EARCOS Leadership Conference. So just know this is a very important and central part to who I am. And spoiler alert, knowing these things is critical to professional networking, knowing your personal brand. So I'm showing you this picture also because it's part of my personal brand. So when you go into that EARCOS Leadership Conference, what pictures really say something about you? Because you might have the opportunity to share it with somebody. I would like to get started, though, by kind of knowing where you guys are at in terms of your professional networking journey. Are you a red light where you just don't feel comfortable initiating contact, knowing that it's for your own personal or professional gain? It's much easier just to kind of be at a table and just have it organically happen, but you don't feel comfortable initiating it. That would be a red light when it comes to professional networking. An amber light is, hey, I can build a network. I just don't use it very effectively. And if you're an American like me, feel free to say yellow. Red, amber, green. I took this from my colleague who's British. So just know we're using amber because I'm lazy. But amber, yellow. And green, hey, I'm good to go. I'm a networking machine. And then it's going to be my job to really try to make this a value-packed session for you. So just throw that into chat really quick. Are you a red? Are you, you don't feel comfortable initiating the contact? Are you an amber, yellow? Hey, I can build a network. I just don't know how to use it. Or are you a green? Because we're going to be addressing all of these different concerns and variations today. I got a neon yellow. I like that. All right. Quite a few yellows, got a green in there. Yeah, Brian, I definitely believe you're a green, somewhere between yellow and green and an amber. All right, so I got a pretty good feel of where the audience is today. My job is to really help you to better understand how to use your network. And that's why I'm focusing on professional development, because that is probably one of the most important ways that we can leverage our network, make it authentic. And by making it authentic, the kind of conversations we have will be so much more enriching. So continuing on, why is networking so important to professional development? I want to tell you a little story about 70-20-10. In the 90s, the Center for Creative Leadership in North Carolina, they did some research on executives that were deemed incredibly successful. And they went out and they researched these executives, a few hundred at a time. They did this again in the 90s just to try to validate the work that they did in the 80s. And by no means am I going to say that, the science on this is 100%. A lot of it's anecdotal. But when they came up with these numbers, 70-20-10, what they found is really successful executives, they contributed 70% of their success to the work that they did. 20% of their success to the people that helped them along the way, that helped them connect to opportunities. And arguably, a lot of the stuff they got to work on That 70% was the result of coaching, mentoring, their network, introducing them to projects. 10% was just formal learning. So I hate to say it, but coming into a conference, going into those presentations may not be the most effective professional development for you, but the ideas that you pull out of them and the people that you meet, as long as you apply it, that's how you really develop. But 20% is incredibly important. It's what I call the secret sauce. So if we really want to professionally grow, we need to have the sauce, and that is the networking. So hopefully the case has been made, because now we want to get into the networking. I also provide an example here of what a 70-20-10 map looks like. This by no means is intended to be part of the course, but I wanted to kind of show you that it sort of starts by speaking with colleagues. And I'm going to demonstrate that as well in our webinar today, that it's really important just to start with your networking by asking people currently in your network and getting ideas from them. And they might direct you to resources or presentations that you can attend at the EARCOS Leadership Conference. And then from those presentations, you might meet people and you want to try things. And then when you do try those things, you might want to go back to the people that were in that presentation. So it's really important to get their contact information so you can say, hey, I tried this. Do you think I did it right? What do you think? This doesn't seem like the way the presenter talked about it. So when we talk about the 70-20-10 development roadmap, it starts with connecting with people. There is that formal learning, the education side, but you got to do things and you got to come back into your network and try it. Also, just as a quick heads up, my colleague Erin, who's on this webinar, she's going to be putting into chat the slides. So just know you guys have all these slides and they should be going into chat very soon. All right. Next, the low-hanging fruit. Well, to make this a meaningful experience for you, I'd like you to take just a minute to think, why are you going to this leadership conference? Now, I'm going to put out two things for you. If you are going out there to network because it is that time of year when we start deciding we want to stay at our school, go to a new school, that's perfectly okay. Asking your school to pay for you to do that, that's not okay. So if you're going to this conference and you're looking for a new job, that's not what this conference is for. But if you're going there, it's on your dime and that's your intention to do it, then it's perfectly okay to have your goal to be that, to go out and meet schools that you want to get to know better. For instance, my wife, we've just finished 10 years at her current school. And I say we because I feel like it's a joint mission. And she's currently looking for a new job because we want to move. We want to find a place that our children will fit in more of a community vibe. And, to be quite frank, I am going to this conference to talk to a few schools that my wife has identified. I want to get to know them better because the leadership at schools are so important to me, especially when there is continuity in leadership. So I do want to have those conversations. So just to let you know, that is okay. But alternatively, another goal, how can I improve the impact of literacy professional development in lower primary? So I just want you to think about that. If you have a goal similar to that, immediately, I know the types of people I want to connect with. Primary principals, primary curriculum coordinators. I want to look, people in primary, and I'm going to show you how to search for that in a few minutes. But that goal right there just took what I believe is going to be potentially 1,000 conference delegates. And it's going to narrow down the people that you need to find for meaningful professional development and networking, probably down to a few hundred. So just right there, you've reduced the field of people that you need to go out and meet with. That's why it's important to have a goal. Next, when we think about what you're going to do in terms of networking, I want you to know how important it is to leverage your existing contacts. Firstly, if that's my goal, who am I going to want to connect with? Well, all right, obviously people in primary, curriculum coordinators, people with an interest in literacy. I'm going to search out presentations that are about lower primary literacy, if there are any, or professional development. That's going to be my focus. I'm going to ask for connections or introductions from colleagues or friends saying, hey, do you know anybody going to this conference that you think I should meet? And this is an opportunity for me to get connected through a personal reference. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Brian's going. Great guy. Why don't you connect with him? Share an email or a name, look for him in the app, and you can connect, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Ask about opportunities I can take at the conference. Hey, what can I do there to really stoke some interest and get people attracted to me to talk about what I want to talk about? You know, I want to be about me. What can I do? Well, hey, I'm going to show you something that you can do to make it about you that's going to attract people to you on the Whova app. So just know that that's coming. Jointly develop ideas with people. Ask about mentoring when you reach out to people. So that's your existing contacts that can help you prepare for the conference. So keep that in mind. Next, preparing to network. I'm going to walk you through a few things to help personalize your story, your narrative, because that's sometimes something really hard for people to do, to talk about themselves. It's incredibly hard for me to talk about myself, if you can imagine that. I don't like crowds. Conferences make me nervous. You may catch me at the conference, but typically in between sessions, I sometimes hide. I'll be honest, because if I don't really have a reason to connect, if there's nothing authentic about it, I tend to be more of a red-yellow light, if that's any surprise to you. But I know how important it is for me to know my brand. And so that when I talk to people, I want them to really get a sense of who I am. I am a connector. I always love connecting people whenever I can. I love if somebody has an idea, I can say, hey, I know this guy at Shanghai American School that you need to meet. The IT director there is phenomenal. And he shares this passion with you. And then here's an email address. I want people to remember me for that. I want people to know that I'm outgoing, even though, you know, I struggle at times with that. That I'm a collaborator, that I don't like to do things alone. I like to build things with people. And it's incredibly important that they walk away having that sense about me. So for people to get that sense about my brand, I need to bring into the conversation not only my energy, but I need to demonstrate for them that I want to work with people. I need to demonstrate with them that I want to help them, connect them to people. Next, your passion, your voice. You might be detecting it in this presentation about my passion and my voice. But what do I enjoy about work? I enjoy people. You know, what is exciting for you? When I'm working to people and I'm developing and I'm learning and I have an opportunity to help people. So knowing what my voice is and having it really ingrained in me, again, makes my conversations authentic. I'm not scrambling for responses because I'm nervous. I get nervous at conferences. And if I'm not prepared to answer somebody's question because I haven't really thought through about me, and I try to answer it through the lens of them, like what would they be interested in hearing about me? It's really awkward. And I walk away from that conversation thinking, oh, what a jerk. You know, there was a chance to make a really good connection and I tried to impress them. I have that problem. I'm a bit insecure, to say the least. And so when I don't bring my passion, when I don't bring my voice, then it does sound very inauthentic. I walk away feeling like, oh, what a jerk. So that's why it's important to know these things, to write them down, to really reinforce them such that when you do meet people, you're able to present and be able to demonstrate for them not only this passion and voice, but they walk away remembering who you are because of it. Now, I talked at the beginning about your goal for attending the conference. I did give you a minute to think about it. Of course, I was talking during that minute, which might have been distracting. So again, just, what is this reason for going to the conference? And even for those that are going to be watching the recorded version, again, take a minute at this point just to really think, why am I going to this conference? All right. When we have this in mind, we know then what our needs are. So if I'm improving literacy PD, what I need to talk to people about what does it look like? What does good literacy PD in the lower primary look like? How do I get buy-in from my teachers? How do I evaluate literacy PD? So I know the conversations I have with people, and if I walk you all the way back to the beginning, because I know what my goal is, that's helped me to really funnel and channel the types of people I need to meet. Obviously, people in primary, PD coordinators, perhaps literacy specialists. When I go to meet these people, I want them to really know who I am. So again, my brand, my passion, my voice. So when I speak authentically, and it's me that's speaking. And now I have needs that I want to talk about, questions to engage them with. And that's why this is also incredibly important to have a goal, because at some point people are going to ask you, well, what do you want to do? So be clear on that. Be clear on what those needs are. Next, what I want to do is I want to give you sort of this idea about your social media profile in Whova. So this is where I'm going to start going into Whova. Now, you should have gotten an email from EARCOS by now. If you're registered for the conference, you should have gotten an email asking you to set up your Whova profile. It was sent on Monday. So look for those emails from Whova, EARCOS, because what I'm going to show you requires you to be logged in. So now I'm going to screen share from my phone so you guys can all see what that is about. Just to let you know, that's how I got there. When I navigate, I have my events, there's explore events, but I definitely want my events. This is what I've signed up for. I'm going into Whova. And this is what Whova presents me with first. And what I was talking about was your profile. And you click on that top link. So just again, where the picture of me in the top left-hand corner, edit my profile, click on that. And this is where I can start adding information. I can import from a social account if I want. If I have all this information in LinkedIn, for instance, makes my life really simple if I do the import from there. So just know I'm connected there and I can import it from there. And in fact, that's the way I did mine. It saves me a lot of time from having to input things individually. This is a little bit about me. What I want people to know about me, that I actually work in networks, ACAMIS, Council of International Schools, Search Associates. I identify myself with the networks that I support and I contribute and I invest in. So this is just a little bit about me that I think connects back to my personal brand as well as my passion. My education, my interests, incredibly important. My location, I'm here in Hong Kong, as you might have guessed from the Disney race. My resume, no, I'm not gonna be uploading a resume because I'm not looking for a job, but my bio. This one's important because this is where I've put one of my key questions. One of the things that I hope to get from the conference is I want to connect with peers. And this is my personal one. In the PowerPoint, I'd kind of put out a more juicy, sort of tangible goal for you guys to look at. But personally, when people go to my bio, I want them to know that I want to connect with peers who have a strong interest in building impactful peer learning networks. And then you can learn a little bit about me from there. So that is largely my Whova profile. So make sure it's also synced with your LinkedIn or your Facebook or Twitter profiles, because continuity and coherence is incredibly important for authenticity. Next, tips to increase your visibility at the conference. For the in-conference sessions, when you're going into these presentations, know who will be there. I'll show you that in a minute. Speak up more in your meetings. Find opportunities to, raise your hand, ask questions. Let people know what you're interested in. This is very key because people might have similar questions and this might attract them to you to saying, hey, I got the same question. Would you like to talk about that? So don't be afraid to find ways to raise questions because that will help attract people to you. So with that in mind, prepare your questions. Be prepared to ask follow-up questions. And this demonstrates sincerity and interest in what people are sharing. Offer to take the notes. Demonstrate your ability to want to support and help as quickly and as visibly as you can. And always ask to stay connected at the end of a conference session. In between, go to the meetups. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into my screen sharing for Whova, and I'm just going to show you some of these things. When I take a look at what we're talking about, I'm going to look into my agenda. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to my sessions and my audience. I know for my first session, you don't need a title to lead. I got 5 people at, I will share these later, I promise. But hey, oh, awesome. Kim Cafino is joining. I love her. I'm feeling really good about that. I hadn't even looked at this list yet. But this is a great place where I can take a look at someone like Kim's profile. Her and I are already connected, but I get a good idea of who's attending and I can reach out to them. Now, here's expert tip number 1. Kim and I are already connected, so I can definitely say hi. And, hey, Kim, glad to see you're also here. Do you have some time to chat? I'm just going to send the template message. She's going to be pretty forgiving of me. And I just earned 300 points in Whova. Wow, what a deal. But there might be people I'm not connected to. So when I take a look at Miss Karen Hendren's profile, I might want to go and exchange contact info with her. I prefer using the exchange contact info option as opposed to say hi, because when you say hi, it doesn't exchange email addresses if that person has allowed that. All it does is exchange a message. So if you want to connect with somebody and share a message, always opt for the exchange contact information. So that's expert tip number 1 in that respect. I know who's attending my meetings. And next, if I want to do something in between meetings, hey, why not go to the meetups and virtual meets and meetups? Now, as always, Miss Dana Watts has beat me to the Wednesday morning run. So I'm going to RSVP. She knows I'm going to be there regardless. The Thursday morning run, yes, I'm going to be there. That is without question. And there's some other great events here as well that I could sign up for as well. The ISS job fair, but I'm not looking for a job, so I'm not going to do that. But I can also create a meetup. So imagine if my goal, once again, is to talk about primary literacy professional development. Well, what I would do is I would put in the topics, primary literacy professional development. I'd give a description of what the meetup's about, perhaps a question that can help drive it, and then I can invite people. I can also choose a place where we're going to meet. So I'm not going to put that in there right now. But when we're doing those types of meetups, I can either do it from the main screen. I can also suggest a meetup. And this actually gives you more detailed fields to fill in for a physical meetup. So just to clarify, if I'm going into just regular topics or social groups, this is a way for people to connect with me and for me to kind of throw it out to other people to join, and we share information through the posts. If I want to do a physical meetup, I go to suggest a meetup, virtual or in person, and you can even choose the location. Hotel bar in the Bangkok EARCOS Leadership Conference, very common. And so that is that in a nutshell. So when we take a look at the next element of leveraging Whova, and now I'm just going to screenshots and I won't be going back and forth in between my iPhone shares. What I want to impress upon you is that, number 1, if you're looking to meet people, there's recommendations that are very solid. People from Hong Kong, ACAMIS, Council of International Schools, Search Associates. It's already plugged in. I didn't even do anything. It's all automatic. It's great. It's a great opportunity to reach out to people. And like I said, make a request to exchange contact information as opposed to saying hi, and if you can connect. So just keep in mind, you have all of these tools at your disposal. And again, if you're looking for sample intro messages, think about your goal. I would like to connect with you to learn more about literacy PD you do at your school. So I'm going to click on exchange contact information. I'm going to put that in there. I see we are planning to attend similar sessions and I'd like to connect with you, or hey, it was great meeting you at this session. I'd like to stay in contact. Simple messages right off the bat. I almost suggest keeping them on your phone so you can copy and paste them in there, because you're going to meet so many awesome people and you're not going to want to type that all the time. So just copy and paste it in. There's nothing wrong with that. Now I'm going to close out with just some very simple tips about how to make it more authentic. We already know the importance of your professional development goal, your brand, and your voice. I've shown you how to use Whova. And in about 3 minutes, I'm going to open it up for any questions that you might have. If you guys are good, you feel free to go. But at this point, building rapport is important. And these are just some ways that you can do it. Some things that you can talk about that people are genuinely, in my experience, interested in. But I've bolded down there, ask 2 questions. Always make sure you got a few questions in your pocket, something that's, that you're personally interested in, and to see if that person also is interested in. Next, breaking in and out of conversations. We're going to be at these big round tables. So if you've not been at the EARCOS Leadership Conference, the way the hotel kind of sets up the tables is they're big round tables, 8 or 10 people are sitting there. Next to you, your elbow partners could be having a conversation and you're listening to it and you want to break into it. Well, here's some things you can say. Hey, can I join you? No one's going to say no. Of course, they want to meet people too. So don't be shy. Hey, can I join you? It's more than enough. This sounds like an interesting discussion. May I join you? Always asking for permission. Your comment really resonated with me. Perhaps after the session, if you see 2 people talking, you can just kind of walk up to them. Hopefully they acknowledge you with a look and just say, hey, something you said in the presentation really resonated with me. And, if you got some time later or you're talking about it now, I'd love to join. Showing that interest. Sometimes you get into conversations that you don't want to be in though. And hey, thank you so much. It's been great talking with you. I definitely, I want to use this time to meet more people, but I'm going to reach out and connect with you on Whova. So ways to break into and out of conversations are important, especially in those presentation rooms, because you're going to find a lot of people talking that you might want to be speaking with as well. And most importantly, always end conversations with, hey, do you have any questions about, what I do? Or is there anything that I can share with you, such as readings or things that I know from my school? Because, the best way to get is through giving. So keep that in mind. Try to always end your conversations with what you can do for others. Now, post networking actions, obviously a thank you, social media invites, or through Whova, follow-up questions or meetings. Don't let the conference be the end of your networking journey, because you've had a meaningful relationship, a meaningful connection that is purposeful. It's connected to something that you're both interested in. So share an article, share an idea, ask them what they're doing coming out of the conference, what they've experienced, or what challenges they're having trying to use what they learned. We learn a lot of great things at these conferences, but we don't always get to use them. And sometimes when we go into our teams and we try to use something, there's always that person that says, yep, you just came back from a conference, because we're just trying to throw something at them. So just keep that in mind. We're probably going to need a friend to lament with or to build strategies with. All right, I'm done. Just want to summarize what we've covered. Be clear on your purpose. Network mapping, try to leverage your current network to meet new people at the conference. Know your passion and voice and your brand. Build rapport, be assertive. Try to take advantage of Whova as much as you can before the conference, and always give back. And if you want to meet me in person, this is a shameless self-promotion, I know, but on October 26th at 2 p.m., you don't need a title to lead. That's what I'm really leading with at this conference. But then they also asked me to talk about delegation. So on October 28th at 10 a.m., I'll be presenting on delegation and how you can delegate more effectively. And then it's a repeat for my You Don't Need a Title on the 28th. I would love to know how I did. If Aaron, put back the PowerPoint into chat. And if you could, just give me some feedback. I'd love to know what you thought about this presentation. Feel free to submit it at any point. And, Guys, thank you for joining me. Are there any questions that I can answer? Feel free to come off. We're a small group.